Hey, good morning. This is Kurt Isles coming to you from the Creek Bank. I'm at Tamp and Grind Coffee. This is where I come most days every week to do my writing. So you'll hear music in the background and grinding and people laughing. Don't worry about that. This is where I work around every day, and for whatever reason, it's a good ambiance. I want to tell you a story. In the next few weeks, I'm going to take each of my 15 books and tell one story per blog or post on what I would call my favorite story. Really, I would call it my readers' favorite stories. I've spoken hundreds of times over 25 years. I found there's some stories that just resonate with people. And I'm going to read today from my first book, Stories in the Creek Bank. Before I read it, I'll tell you a little about this. This is one of the very first copies. This book, it came out in 2020. Went back up, the year 2000. And inside, when I started speaking to schools, I would have students sign the book. I'd say, we're going to have a book signing today. And they'd get real tickled and they'd sign it. And so that's what I've done with all my books through the years. And as I look through this one here, I look at the signatures and notes, and many of these people are gone now. And it just makes me very, very thankful as I look at it. I want to turn today to everyone's favorite story from my first book. It's called Brother Hodges' Best Sermon. Kenneth Hodges was my pastor as a teenager. How can I begin to describe him? He was probably one of the countryest looking men I've ever known. Tall and skinny, with a large Adam's apple and a shock of wavy black hair. Brother Hodges was just really down to earth. And that is why everyone in Dry Creek loved him. He was a what you see is what you get kind of guy. But his physical appearance is not what made him special. It was his loving spirit and kindness towards everyone. When he became pastor at Dry Creek Baptist Church in the early 70s, he soon became the pastor to everyone in our community, whether they were churchgoers or not. He had great rapport with all kinds of people. Now, Brother Hodges was a very good preacher, but what he did best was pastor. He cared about people, and it showed daily. I've always believed the following story is his best sermon. One Monday, Brother Hodges dressed up in his best suit. I can still see it. A white leisure suit with blue stitching and buttons and white patent leather shoes. I always told him he looked like the Easter Bunny when he wore it. On this day, he was going into town. That's what we called the Ritter. He was going into town to a meeting at the Baptist Association office. But first, he needed to go by and check on an elderly member of the congregation. To do this, he bypassed off the highway onto Joe Gray Road. Now, country people can understand what I'm saying here. There's nothing worse than a red clay road after the rain in the winter months. As Brother Hodges slid along the road in his old Buick, he came up on a problem in the road. One of the local farmers was in the road vainly trying to round up 3 horses that broke through the fence. And the horses were definitely winning. If you've ever tried to refence animals after they escape from confinement, you can probably picture the futility and frustration of this farmer. Brother Hodges stopped his vehicle. I'm not sure what he thought, but I know what I thought. There's no way I'm going to get all muddy in my suit. But that's just what he did. He got out and helped get the horses back in. After the chore was done, the suit was no longer white. In fact, it and the shoes were caked with red Dry Creek mud and ruined, never to be worn again. Now, Brother Hodges didn't tell this story to anyone. He didn't have to. The farmer, who was not a church-going man, told it, and everyone who heard it in Dry Creek told it to somebody else. The story of the Baptist preacher helping to round up the horses was known by everyone in a few days. And I'll still believe it was Kenneth Hodges' best sermon at Dry Creek Baptist Church. It was a sermon preached in love, with willing hands and feet. And as I write this, it's the only specific sermon I remember being preached by Brother Kenneth Hodges. But it is a sermon that will live on my heart and mind forever. Jesus said in John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. I want to thank you for letting me read to you Stories of the Creek Bank, my first book. We're putting this on our YouTube channel, also on our podcast where you can listen to it, and we'll post it on our blog and X as well. So you'll get a chance to look at this. And in the coming days and weeks, I'll be reading to you. My next book I'll be reading to you is called The Old House, and we'll see what story I'll pick out. I want to remind you, you can find out everything about the Creek Bank. You can go to our website at creekbank.net. You can sign up for YouTube, our podcast, everything that's going on. You can contact us. I'd love to hear from you at Kurt@creekbank.net. That's CURT at creekbank.net. Hey, tell you bye from Creek Bank Stories today from Tamp and Grind Coffee Shop in downtown Alexandria. Hey, we'll see you soon.